doesn't go forward.
So now, okay.
Okay.
Are we on? I just told them that when we get to resolution number 13, we're going to table that because Michael still has the contract. It's not done yet. On resolution number 13, the choices were either table it till next month or make Patrick reprint. So we're just okay.
Tonight's packet is a total of 248 pages long. It has the audit in it, it has the bond ordinance and stuff like that. Like most of it doesn't need to be read. It's a lot of
All right, this meeting of the Mayor and Council of the City of Frostburg is called to order at 5:30 p.m. Please stand for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are thankful for this special community, for the time we share together and the bounty of our nation. We're thankful for the commitment of our people who volunteer their time and talents to make our community a better place to live, work, and raise a family. We know that we alone cannot meet the challenges or provide sufficient inspiration without community involvement and the dedication of all concerned to the greater good of the city and who reside in it. We are thankful for the beauty, the time, and the place that is Frostburg. Amen.
May be seated. Thank you. All right, Mr. O'Brien, if you call the roll, please.
Mayor Logan.
Present.
Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Grove.
Here.
Commissioner Forsyth.
Here.
Commissioner Ritchie.
Here.
All right, moving on to item 5, which is the approval of tonight's agenda.
I move we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. As many as are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Agenda is approved. Next is item 6, approval of the minutes from March 17th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the minutes from March 17th. Any further discussion among council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes of March 17th are approved. Moving on then, this is a special presentation of something that we already did. Would you like to do this, Commissioner? Since you did it live and in person. Last Friday was Arbor Day in the city of Frostburg, and Commissioner Forsyth was gracious enough to make a presentation for that.
We planted 5 trees down by in the community park down near the pool. Second graders from Bell Elementary helped very eagerly. They were wonderful to work with, and we also appreciate the DNR and Forest Service for helping us with this. So here's a proclamation. And I won't interject all the things I interjected when I read it to the children to keep them interested. Proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Nina Forsyth, on behalf of Todd J. Logston, Mayor of the City of Frostburg, and all of City Council, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 17th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the City of Frostburg. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
So, it was an excellent ceremony, and I was sorry that I couldn't be there, but I understand that the kids had a good time.
They did, and they were actually quite knowledgeable about trees. I was very impressed.
Excellent. Excellent. So that takes care of a special presentation for Arbor Day. Moving on now is item 8 on the agenda, which is reports of the city departments. We'll call first on Mr. Miller for community development.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'll try to make this quick. We got a lot on the agenda. All right. So we'll run down through this quick. Permits, we had in total 1 certificate of appropriateness, 3 burning, 2 use and occupancies, and 3 building. That'll start picking up as the weather gets nicer. Going down through the rental housing, out of 1,875 units, we only have 22 remaining that hasn't registered. We're getting ready to send out letters to them here within the next week or 2. Code enforcement had 35 cases this month. One to point out, I know it's brought up at the fire department meeting, the issue's been taken care of, is an illegal occupancy. Chief, it's been taken care of.
Yes, sir.
Where the gentleman was sleeping in the store. So that's all been addressed and moved on.
Has Chief Davis been notified on
Yes,
that? Okay.
we emailed them as soon as it happened.
Okay, good.
So we've been in contact with them throughout the process. Rental inspections, code enforcement Hovatter completed 77 inspections last month, probably on par to do the same thing this month coming, maybe more. So he's been getting them. The business owners have been really receptive of getting him scheduled. We have a few here and there that hard to get a hold of, but for the most part, it's been pretty successful.
Okay.
To run down through current projects, we're on the comp plan rewrite. We'll talk a little bit more about something coming up with that. We got about 6 months left on that roughly. That's including the review and the final draft and everything to be put out. So, stabilization grant, the Hawking House, Lucky Liquors are moving forward. I talked to the Hawking House. She's putting the roof on now, using the stabilization grant for that. So that project's moving ahead. Townhouse project, spoke to MHT again. Still waiting on their okay to demolition. We're going to get the bid out. That way it's done for next meeting and just waiting on their approval. Record retention, we're still working on 76 unboxes, working with the Historic District Commission, setting up some trainings. Sustainable Maryland recertification, we had a meeting with the Green Team folks. It's been involved in a lot of projects, so we can collaborate on getting that put together for the June recertification. Historic District Commission, they met on March 9th. We're working on some demolition guidelines with them. We're doing them in-house. Going to kind of look at some other communities and put it together for their approval, and then we'll bring it back to the Mayor and Commissioner. No planning commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, no meeting. The Green Team met on March 5th. Talk about the seed swap, garden supply swap event to be held on March 7th, Buy Nothing event, social media postings, and the upcoming Sustainable Maryland Recert on June 30th. And we transitioned the Green Team into new coordinator duties for the quarter, which is
Me.
yours truly. So that stuff's moving forward. We had several meetings, trainings. We attended, I think that was in April, but with the Green Team meeting for Sustainable Maryland, again, thank you. Thank the folks. We spent 2 hours in there going through that stuff to try to get it ready. All right, moving forward. Patrick, you want to go to these events? Tomorrow, at the Green Team meeting, it was brought up due to an event we have coming up, Earth Day Downtown Cleanup event. If anybody's available, it'll be tomorrow from 3 to 6. It's going to be a passive cleanup. The items will be in the police station, thanks Chief. There'll be garbage pickers, garbage bags, and there'll be directions in there with it. Just put them out here by the drop box, and myself and Planner Clint will pick them up at 6 o'clock. It's passive, your own time, no sign up, nothing like that.
Bring a friend.
And you bring a friend, yes. We posted it in several places. This is going to be done in association with the Arts Walk. Green Team brought it up to get it done for the Arts Walk. Frostburg First will be hosting the Spring Arts Walk on Saturday, April 25th in the downtown area. Is that one in there, Patrick?
No.
You didn't get the Arts Walk in there?
No, it's Give Freely next week.
All right. Buy Nothing, Give Freely event will be held on, let me start over. Drop-offs will begin on May 14th and 15th from 4 to 7 p.m. This is done in coordination with the citywide cleanup. It's done before that. Thursday, May 14th and Friday, May 15th, from 4 to 7 at City Place. Donations will be accepted all weekend until noon on Sunday. Saturday and Sunday Saturday from 7 to 5, May 16th. Sunday, May 17th, 10 to 4 will be the shopping days, is what they refer to it as.
There's no money involved.
No money involved. And please make sure you check the site for more information. I got it on here, frostburgcity.org, accepted items. The items, make sure you check the site before you bring anything over to drop off. I don't think I have anything else.
Okay,
I should have covered everything. Any questions?
couple quick ones.
Okay.
Actually, it's really two-parter. It'll fall more under permitting and code enforcement. What, if anything, can you tell us about the project at Hill Street School, when it's expected
Hill
to
Street
close
School,
out?
we don't have anything on that yet.
Okay.
The weather should be breaking, they should be able to finish up their concrete and get the blacktop and done.
I mean, I know they're really close.
Yeah, it's,
They were hoping, don't quote me on this, but they were hoping for occupancy by the end of July.
Okay. Second, and sort of related to that, we had discussion with the owner of Main Street Books and a constituent about the stuff that was going on in the alley and the development of the Pritchard building.
correct.
So,
Code enforcement, Hovatter met with, I believe her name's Taylor, at Western Maryland to address that situation.
okay,
I
good.
believe it's being taken care of.
Okay, perfect.
To give you, also on the Center Street development, they had another meeting with a group of investors. I couldn't get a hold of Dave Dedos today, but they seem to be moving forward
Okay.
in a positive direction. They won't give me an answer on anything
Nothing
concrete.
definite, yeah.
Yeah, but they have high hopes.
When did we sign that extension with them?
Oh, 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Okay, I thought it was longer than that. Okay.
That's why I keep calling him,
Okay.
because we only did, I think, a year
I
maybe.
think we only did a year. I thought it had been longer than 4 months, but if you say 4, that's
Well,
fine.
still in the planning phases, I'm trying to
I agree.
keep them moving. So that's, and then also they're starting to work on gonna start working on the Pritchard building.
Yeah, they're in there now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
The water line today.
water line in today. So they're
Is
moving
that why
forward
the
on that
alley is
project
right
as well.
back?
Ah, okay.
But make sure you come out tomorrow for the cleanup, come out for the arts walk, also come out for the Buy Nothing event.
One more, just real super quick.
I'm sorry.
When the most recent meeting for Frostburg First that you attended, just if you recap anything what we need to know about that.
We went through the functions for what everybody was doing for the arts walk
Right.
and some of their upcoming projects.
Okay.
And then recapped on the projects over the winter.
When's the next one?
In between, it's the 12th, and then it's the Thursday in between the work session.
Oh, so you just had this meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one will be the Thursday in between work session and the council meeting in May.
Okay, so it's around the I got you. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else for Mr. Miller?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Finance Department, Mrs. Phillips.
Good evening. Several good things to report in finance this month. Very exciting for us. As you know, we've been working on the budget, and we will propose the ordinance here later this evening. I'm also happy to report that the FY25 financial statement audit has been completed and submitted. SB and Company was our auditors, and they issued an unqualified or a clean opinion, which is the best opinion you can get. That means that our financial statements have been fairly presented in all material respects with government accounting standards. What else? There were no findings as a result of the audit. Prior year, there was one finding. It was minor, but there was a finding, so there weren't any for this year's audit. Also very exciting. They issued their report on internal controls over financial reporting with no resultant findings. Also a good thing. And I can't take credit for that because I was only here for 2 or 3 weeks of fiscal year 2025, so all the credit goes to my predecessor. The last thing that they did for us was our single audit, which is triggered by the expenditure of $750,000 or more in federal funds. A single audit will test the compliance of requirements for the major federal programs. We had one major federal program in FY25, which was the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, which were part of the American Rescue Plan Act, which is also known as ARPA. They concluded that the city complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements of the program and issued no findings or questioned costs. So,
Hey.
thank you, Elaine, for such a great job. I have quite the shoes to fill.
Will we still need to do that one more time for fiscal 26?
Yes.
Okay.
We have to do it every,
No, just the single.
oh, the single audit.
Yeah.
Yeah, assuming we don't get
Okay.
more federal,
Depends on who funds the pump station for the well.
Ah,
So, and having a single audit on file is what allows you to apply for a lot of.
right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was all good news. And as I mentioned, the state financial statements have been filed with the Office of Legislative Audits, and the Uniform Financial Report has been filed with the appropriate state agency, which at the moment I can't remember which one that is. But it was filed, and I got confirmation that it was filed. As you will note on our reports, the little disclaimer, I think it was at the top of the balance sheet and the bottom of the budget reports, the little disclaimer is no longer there that says that the balances do not reflect the prior year audit adjustments. So that has all been taken care of. I guess the only other thing about the monthly reports for March is when you get to the budget report, I realized that I did not post the amendments that were passed at the last council meeting. So I will change that, and I can send it back out to you, or just have it for next time, whatever you prefer.
You can just send it out.
Send it
Yeah.
out, okay. I can do that. Other than that, we're continuing to get our utility bills out in a timely manner, although we didn't quite make it this month. We had a couple glitches. Other than that, everything else is same old, same old. We're gonna breathe for a couple months before the audit rolls back around. Oh, I did want to mention that the audit financial statements will be posted on the website this week.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I just thought of one question. I'm going to blindside you because you asked me this afternoon if I had questions for you, and I said no. And so if you don't know, it's fine. I think April 30th is the normal date when we post delinquent tax accounts. Is that right? Like property tax accounts.
The letters were sent out last month.
Okay.
They are required.
But I think they have until the 30th before they're actually posted
They have
publicly.
till tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we send the list to the county, and I think the ad runs the 5th or 6th of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many was it?
Trevor took care of that. And
That's
I don't
fine.
recall, but I can
Just
find
follow
out.
up later. That's fine.
Ballpark?
You have a ballpark idea? It's usually not. It's not very many. It's like usually less than 10.
I don't
Yeah,
recall.
okay.
I
That's
really
fine.
don't, because I was,
Well, like I said,
wasn't involved.
I just thought of it. I blindsided you. So.
and I know quite a few people have come in and
Okay.
made their payments.
I think what I'm thinking of with April 30th is the deadline for them at the county, and if it's not past that, then they can't get it out of the newspaper.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I'm thinking of. Okay.
Yep.
It's usually not very many. It's like less than 10.
Yeah, I don't think it was very many. I know Trevor was working on it again today, but we didn't get a chance to talk much. so.
Okay.
But I will find out and let
Okay,
you know.
that's fine.
Okay.
Anything else for finance department? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
And for those interested, the audit information is in this tonight's packet, and then
Oh,
on the
yes.
website. But I wasn't going to be able to scroll through the 100 and some pages.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so the results of the audit will be made publicly available on the website. They're in the audit packet now. There will be, they usually send us a handful of hard copies.
Yeah, we'll keep your head on.
Yeah.
I'll request those from them. They sent me everything digitally because it's new.
Oh, it's a new company, that's right.
It's a new auditor this year, so
Okay.
I'll request hard copies from them.
If that, we can always put it back.
I don't think we need as
Yeah,
many as we have in the past.
I
but
don't think
that's
so.
a lot.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll get them for you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lindsay.
I think this will be a fairly light report for the Public Works Department. This is always the time of year that's sort of the calm before the storm, where we do more prep work for all the things that are about to fall on us in the summer. Within Parks and Recreation, of course, they've been finishing up the food pantry. That building is 95% of the way done. We are still hopeful we will open in April. We encountered one hang-up with some electrical. One of our items didn't pass electrical inspection, so without that final inspection, we can't get the meter from Potomac Edison. So the building is 95% of the way done. Just have to move one outlet over, make another change with one of our panels, put the meter in from Potomac Edison, and then we'll be ready to go for ribbon cutting. And then, of course, those guys at Parks and Rec have done kind of a smattering of odds and ends, a few things to get some of the parks ready, some concrete pads, some cleanup, some bathroom work. While they can do that now, because starting next month will be the very busy season for all those guys, particularly grass cutting and maintaining all the parks. Those guys will be quite busy here soon. Not much to report from this month though. Within the water department, nothing crazy, sort of the same thing. We've been doing projects at the shop to get ready for all the stuff in the summer. Of course, we are still recovering from the leak that happened on the intersection of College and Center. That was kind of a big to-do with maintaining traffic and tearing out the subsurface under the street, putting everything back in, and then repaving. While we were in there, Braddock Construction owed us warranty work along Center Street. They are doing that now. And then when that finishes, Braddock Construction is actually pivoting next week and going to Main Street of Frostburg in front of the post office, and they'll be doing the repairs to the crosswalk in front of the post office at night. We anticipate that taking 6 to 7 hours, but we'll start that around 11 o'clock at night, do that as traffic calms down, and have that done before the opening of businesses the next morning. Within the street department, we did have 2 openings on the trash truck, so we did extend 2 offers. One was turned down, so we extended it to the next guy, and that guy took it. So we have 2 new employees starting the following Monday, so not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. Of course, Commissioner Ritchie sat in on those, so he knows who we'll be going with. We're hopeful that they'll be good employees. Other than that, it is prep work for summer and paving season. So we've been getting ready for our paving contract, which usually comes out towards the end of May, and then that usually starts work end of July, early August on the actual paving. Of course, our guys are getting ready to do pothole patching. Again, this time of year, not a ton happens physically, but our guys are getting all the trucks ready, they're getting all the equipment ready, getting our excavators and loaders and skid steers ready, so that we can hit the summer hard with all of our work. Within the actual Public Works Engineering Department itself, again, it is mostly prep work for our big CSO jobs that will be starting in May. And then more interestingly, our City of Frostburg Water Resiliency Project, we did all of our water well testing, and that went extremely well. Negley's Water and Well did that work for us in conjunction with Triad Engineering. We had 2 sites picked out to do these test wells on, and the first one tested so well that we didn't even have to go to site number 2. So for the past 2 weeks and through the next month, we will be testing that water just to make sure that it is of the quality we want and of the capacity we want. And then once that is done, we will move into the next phase of the project with assistance from the Governor Moore money that was set aside from us to do the actual engineering and design for the pump station and the well that will sit on top of that well to feed into our system to pump to the water treatment plant. Other than that, it is mostly preparation for MDE regulations that are coming out in regards to drinking water and some notification processes, and then some stormwater work that will be coming out. That is the long and the short of it. That's kind of the bulky work. There's always little things going on, but that's the big stuff. If there's any questions, I'm happy to talk about them.
I kind of thought you'd sound happier whenever you said we found water. It's been like 6 months we've been talking about that.
It's been a long day.
I have a question about the pantry.
Sure.
In driving by and looking at it, it doesn't appear that there's very much parking there. I might suggest that maybe put an load and unload zone across the street, maybe take 2 of those spots at the end to have some parking.
We're planning to add parking once on the paving contract.
Oh,
So
okay.
whenever the paving contract comes out, we'll add parking spots in front and behind.
Okay.
Yep.
Something
At least
to-
one, at least 2.
Something to note about the pantry too is it's not a shopping style, you come and pick up.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be a lot of people kind of lingering there, it should be a pretty quick stop, so hopefully we'll get you back up.
Yeah, we'll have 1 parking spot for the employee working in there,
Yeah.
volunteering to be in there, and then 1 parking spot for ADA accessibility. Yep.
And to be clear, you said end of April, opening the pantry, that's the building being ready for use. the
Correct,
pantry
correct,
itself.
correct.
The MDE regulations, are there big changes or?
Not necessarily, not many things tangible. It's more about notification processes for when we have significant water leaks.
Okay.
Or if for some reason we ever had to go into a boil water notice, they've kind of changed how they want to see that done. Emily and I go at the beginning of May to the Maryland Rural Water Conference where we'll sit down with MDE and go over all that. So next council meeting I should have a better sense of what it'll be.
So doesn't look like there's a lot of changes to treatment.
No, nothing to treatment.
Okay, nothing.
Yeah, more so just a notification process during leaks and routine maintenance and kind of things that could affect the water once it's treated.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. The intersection, the College Avenue Center Street intersection, you said that's tomorrow? They're paving tomorrow?
I will have to check with Emily. It's either tomorrow or Friday.
I think I saw
Yeah.
like a Facebook post that said it was
Yeah.
tomorrow, but I'm just confirming that.
Emily's been handling that work
Okay.
there, but yeah.
And then last thing, the house on Bernard Street that was dealing with the basement flood that was our fault, is that done?
Yeah, we think we're good there. There actually wasn't as much water in that basement as we expected.
Okay.
We got pretty lucky, but we'll continue to follow up with the homeowner if they need anything else from us. So.
Okay. Anything else for Public Works?
You have a new piece of equipment you want to?
Oh yeah, we this was an ARPA-funded street sweeper that we ordered approximately a year and a half ago, and it arrived last week. And the guys love it. So we are keeping the old street sweeper as a backup as well. It was already paid off and accounted for. But now that we have two, we should be a little more efficient getting that done, and we have a backup as well.
Did you bring
Sweepy
Kevin
mix-
over to see it?
He did. He can. Yeah.
He showed up.
Yeah. So our long-term 23-year vested employee, who was our go-to street sweeper guy, retired 2 weeks before the new street sweeper came. But he came in just to see it, and he was happy.
Good.
Does he get a free ride?
Yeah, we put him in the passenger seat and let him take a lap. But,
Sweepy McSweep face,
yep.
right?
Well, let's kids name it.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Costello, the Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Good evening. I have your report for the Police Department for the month of March 2026. We had 611 incidents logged, 10 arrests of various sorts, 2 cases handled or referred to C3I. We had 19 well-being checks, 2 emergency petitions, 25 assist other agency incidents, 31 requests for a police officer, 6 documented follow-ups, 25 disturbances of various sorts, 6 motor vehicle crashes, and 115 traffic stops. Probably of most note, if any of you were on social media about 2 or more weeks ago, we had a vehicle pursuit, which is fortunately, somewhat unusual for us, that stemmed from essentially a domestic incident, not domestic violence, but domestic concerns. There were possible firearms, a few other issues that were happening, and that individual fled from us. We do know who it is, and we're taking the appropriate action for charges and follow-up. That is an open investigation. I think our officers did a great job, and they very prudently notified the West Virginia authorities and ceased the pursuit at the West Virginia line by Hazleton. Few activities of note, just sort of community events and various things, no particular order. The police department and City Hall were able to host a number of groups from Braddock Middle School recently for tours of the police station and tours of city operations through the administrative end. Really nice, good community engagement, good positive stuff. Recently, and some of these may bleed into April, so recent activities. Lieutenant Seitz and I gave a presentation to the folks at Frostburg Heights Apartments at their request about elder fraud, scams, and those sorts of things. So I think that kind of educational opportunity and engagement is a very good thing, and we are always glad to do that. That's available. That type of thing is available to really any city business, any community organization in our city, whether it's fraud or elder fraud or scams, whether it's risks of violence or violence reduction or just community engagement, crime prevention. That's an option we offer any entity in our city that we'd be glad to do that. We have 1 or 2 officers trained specifically to give crime prevention presentations. I do a lot of the talks, as we all know. I like to talk, so it gives me a forum, but hopefully it gets to help a little bit. But that's open to everyone. Recently, just last week, we were invited to Career Day at Bell Elementary School. So the Frostburg Fire Department was actually on one side of the school, and the police department was on the other, and the kids rotated in groups between both departments. So Lieutenant Seitz and I were there, our SRO, Officer Ellsworth, was there, and Sergeant Beeman. And I have to give Sergeant Beeman credit. He actually gave the presentation to all 3 of the student groups, and he did a fantastic job. It was a little warm. We were outside. They were very interested. They had good questions, and he gave a great presentation. So I want to give him credit for that. We have some of our regular grants continuing, traffic enforcement grants we've been doing. They come from the Maryland Highway Safety Office, and they focus on different issues like maybe seatbelts, distracted driving, speeding, those sorts of things, and basically they'll pay the city to have additional officers out focusing on those issues. We had the annual Easter egg hunt for the city, so I'm always glad to be a part of that. I appreciate being there. Commissioner Grove is always there. Since there are no young children here, and I doubt they're going to watch us online, I'll say my dear wife, Whitney, was the Easter Bunny again, so I want to thank Brian and Commissioner Forsyth for allowing us to do that. We have a great time. And right after that, I was able to get over to the Frostburg Elks and join Mayor Logston for the Queens. Basically, these young ladies do a great job. They give great presentations, develop a lot of skills for life, and it's just a nice program. So good community engagement there as well. We are currently hiring. Our cadet Peyton is in the process. He's actually going through some of the phases right now to be hired for the academy in June. We are still keeping that door open. If we get any other applicants, we would process them through. So if you know anybody that's interested, please encourage them. And since the weather's been a little nicer, we've been doing a few foot patrols downtown. I've been doing a lot of them. It's been a really good opportunity. And I hate to bring up this issue, but sometimes parking is a bit of a battle, and I just want to say that since we've changed from some of the meter-based enforcement, it's so nice to be able to walk down Main Street in uniform and just talk to people, have people come up and have good community engagement, have good discussions, where 5-10 years ago when I would walk down Main Street, people would be diving out to the meters trying to get a corner in, and that was the connotation of the cops walk down Main Street, and that's not the type of policing I would generally promote. So I think the community-based, interactive base is very good, and that change has been a positive help there to us. So with that would conclude my report. I'm glad to answer any questions you may have and elaborate.
Two quick things. First,
sir.
this isn't really a question so
Yes,
much
sir.
as just a commendation. You said about the pursuit incident
Yes.
that happened. I just wanted to thank you for calling me that night.
Yes,
you called
sir.
me. It was Friday. It was a Friday night, I think.
Yes, sir, it was,
Yeah.
yes.
And my wife and I were out at dinner, and the phone rang, and I thought, well, if it's Nick, I better get it.
Oh, well, thank you,
So I
Mayor.
just wanted to thank you for
Yes, sir.
notifying me,
Of
just
course.
so that I didn't hear about it from somebody else.
Yes, sir.
Two, I've had a couple of folks ask me, not in a complaining way, but just
Yes.
ask me if we are planning to make more use out of the speed monitor thing that we have, or we put it out.
Yes, no, I think that's a wonderful question. I think weather is a little bit of a factor, and one of the officer who was handling that is actually leaving. We're going to have somebody else take that over, but we actually just had, I think maybe an email about that. But short answer, the weather's nice again. We're ready to go, so we will be putting it out. And generally, it's a good response if we get complaints about potential speeding on a street or neighborhood. It's one way the city can respond. We can put it right there. So yes, we are planning to. It is available, and if we have any target areas, so to speak, that need that deterrence, we're glad to put it there.
Okay. Anything else for Chief? I have one more, but I'm going to let council go first. Okay. This is sort of a joint question for you and for Hayden. We talked at the work session last week about State Highway has sort of preliminary marked where lines could go for parking spots on Main Street, but they don't line up at the meter. So if
Yes,
the two of
sir.
you could maybe talk about that.
Yes. Well, we have talked about it some. I think it's an open question. Apparently, State Highway has some pretty stringent regulations about how far spaces can be from crosswalks and fire hydrants, and we have meters that were probably placed there 80 years ago. I don't know. So not quite sure how we'll reconcile that, but the city has a lot of different interests to accommodate. The posts really are needed primarily, I think, now for the Christmas decorations, for the meter decorations. If we went back to paid enforcement, Cumberland has recently gone to all Park Mobile. They have kind of little boxes that basically give you the block number. So we have options to address parking, but we have some of those other considerations, I guess.
The biggest thing to consider is based on some of their standards around how far a parking spot has to be away from a fire hydrant, how far a parking spot has to be away from a crosswalk. We would stand to lose between 6 and 8 parking spots on Main Street based on what they would delineate. The other thing to consider too is that their spots aren't going to line up with where the meters are.
Right.
So that's going to confuse people to some extent, and inevitably you'll have someone park in the lines, but those lines will be off from where the meters are, and their door won't be able to open because it will be next to a meter.
They do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Or like a lamppost or something, you know.
So,
Or even a telephone pole.
Yeah.
so I would defer to council, whatever you guys would want to do, but it's as simple as me picking up the phone and telling State Highway, we're pulling the plug on the lines, we don't want to do it anymore, or we still want to move forward with it, please paint the lines out, and they plan to do that in the beginning of June.
We need to look into this a little bit more, but it's our understanding that essentially our meters are kind of grandfathered in as far as that goes. So it's not that everything's wrong how it is, but if the state highway were to come in and do what they do, they would do it the way they do it. And that would.
So we need to put that on the work session for May, talk about what we're gonna do for that.
Does the State Highway Association have, or agency, or administration?
Administration.
Do they have like a certain window in which they would do it, or it's whenever we call them?
Kind of. It's whenever we can fit it. They're doing it for free for us to no charge because it's their street. But they will fit us in when that paint truck has time, which they have told us is going to be between June 1st and June 15th or 16th.
Is that when they're planning on doing the regular line repainting too?
Correct.
That same
Running
time?
it all at once.
Okay.
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 So we
Yeah,
have a
May.
little bit of time, but
That's-
definitely by May we should decide.
Yeah. Because right now they're just little tick marks, just
Yep.
delineating where they are. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anything else for Chief? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners.
All right. That's all the city departments.
The number went down.
I'm sorry?
The number went down.
Oh, yeah, significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the incident number went significantly down, Chief. Usually it's been up in the last several months, year over year, but it's been down
I
significantly.
think it generally is a good thing, though, without looking, I always attribute big gaps. If I don't see a big change, it's usually long patrol checks. It's usually how vigorously people call in patrol checks of areas that we want to show coverage, like the Pritchard Farm area and schools, or if we get complaints about suspicious people or activities. So I think it's probably that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
all.
All right, that's all the city departments. I would entertain a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve the commissioners' reports.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the reports of the various city departments. Any further discussion on council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Reports are approved. Item 9 is the regular CSO hearing.
All right, so for the City of Frostburg Combined Sewer Overflow, or CSO, monthly public hearing, not too many changes from last month. We did have a long bond council meeting with our bond council, and then we did follow up with MDE. Everything looks to be greenlit. We should be ready to rock and roll by the beginning of June to let 10B and 10C get started. We anticipate being able to move forward with a mobilization and stored materials $50,000 approval for 10B and 10C by the end of April for those contractors to be able to order material that's harder to get and to be able to set up their job sites within the Mountain Ridge area. That way, come June, whenever we have our final bond council and MDE and Board of Public Works approvals, we're ready to go and get those projects started in earnest beginning in the middle of summer and work through November whenever we go into winter shutdown for this year. Of course, 8C and 9D are pretty well wrapped up. We do have to go through sort of an audit process with CDBG for a maintenance review plan. That'll happen at the beginning of May, but really not much to report there. We do have one final change order to do for one of those, another crossing a T and dotting an I. But other than that, I do like to always reiterate for 10B and 10C, this makes about a year and a half of talking about this just to be transparent and clear. For the sidewalk additions, I know that the group who is sitting here has mostly heard me talk about this, but for those who will be listening online, Washington Street will get we'll get 2 sidewalks on both sides of the street. McCullough Street will get one on the bottom side, and Cemetery Lane will get a sidewalk on what would be the lower side of that diagonal street. Those easements and the footprint for those sidewalks has always existed. Washington Street used to have 2 sidewalks, but that was 125 years ago. They have just grown up with grass. We are just putting back those sidewalks as part of a walkability and safety initiative as a part of these projects. I just feel like it is important to say that so that when people ask questions about it, we have the opportunity to tell them. If there are any questions, I'm happy to elaborate.
Let your friends and neighbors know.
Yeah.
And we have also done that too. I mean, you and your team have also made efforts to reach out to the homeowners specifically, so
Correct.
most of them, if not all, should already know about it.
Correct.
And the traffic pattern for the top of cemetery is going to become one?
Most likely. It should. We were leaning towards doing that before the project. And then
One way
with
up
that,
or one way down?
We would do turning off of Main Street going down.
One way down.
That would make sense.
That is can be a dangerous corner.
Yeah, the vision's not that great.
Yeah, and if we're adding a sidewalk, that'll neck it down even more.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Nothing under old business, so moving into new business. First up will be Resolution 2026-09. This is a contract, this is a solar contract.
Yes. So, Resolution 2026-09 is to approve 2 contracts with Sun Central LLC. So, Solar on Earth had come to present to us about the solar project. Essentially, what these 2 contracts do, they're with the same company, different solar projects. Is each of those projects will give credits towards some of our facilities. So the reason we have 2 contracts instead of one big one is they use up these credits kind of as they go, and so we're getting pieces of 2 different projects essentially. But it would reduce our bill for electricity for the city of Frostburg by a significant amount. 20% I believe was, well, it'd be about $20,000 we should say over the course of the year.
Oh, so it's more than he first proposed.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. Part of it depends on our usage, obviously, and things like that. It's free credits. These happen because the companies get some state or federal funding, and as part of that, they're supposed to give credits back to public entities and farmers and low incomes and things like that. We did, aside from this resolution, but while we're talking about it, we are meeting this Thursday to discuss the residential program that he had mentioned so that residents can get some of these benefits as well.
Okay.
There's no questions. I ask for a motion.
I move we approve Resolution 2026-09.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2026-09. Any further discussion among council on that? Any comment or discussion among the public on that before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2026-09 is approved. Resolution 10. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. For your consideration is Resolution 2026-10, and that's to approve a temporary repeal of the open container law during the Spring Arts Walk, which is this Saturday. The times of the temporary repeal would be from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That would again be on Saturday, April 25th, 2026. The locations and specifics are listed on your, maybe listed on your screen here if it comes up, but it's basically from Main Street, Broadway, and Water Streets. The only real limitation is that no glass containers are allowed, and all other alcohol and traffic laws have to be observed. This has been a positive event. I don't think there have ever been any alcohol problems with the event, and I strongly would recommend you to approve that.
Okay.
So if the Mayor and Council would like to do a motion and second, I would recommend that you approve it.
I'll make a motion. We approve Resolution 2026-10.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2026-10. Any further comment or discussion among council on that? Okay. Pretty boilerplate. We do it every year.
Yeah.
Any comment or discussion among the public before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 10 is adopted. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Next is Resolution 26-11.
Resolution 26-11 is kind of a standard process to allow our attorneys for our opioid litigation to move forward with signing documents as needed. It also allows the mayor and myself to sign things as needed for one of the new groups that are going to be a part of a settlement. So it's being referred to as 6 remnant defendants. And the corporations and organizations are listed in the resolution. J.M. Smith Corporation, Louisiana Wholesale Drug Company, Morris and Dickerson Company, North Carolina Mutual Wholesale Drug Company, and United Natural Foods, and as well as their subsidiaries. So this would allow Bruce Poole, attorney, to execute and sign documents as needed and move us forward in that process. Similar to what we did for what I think they called the Gang of Eight,
Yeah.
co-ordinators.
Yeah. You'll need to do a little amendment there and correct untied to United.
Does it say on that?
Yeah, Untied Natural Foods.
I will make that change.
Yeah, it does.
It's like that dyslexics untie.
And it's bad when it's a real word too. So.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, spell check's not going to catch that. Yep. But other than that, I'm for it.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-11.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 26-11 as amended. Any further discussion or comment among council on that? Comment or discussion among the public before we vote on that?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, council. Name is Sean Major. I'm a certified peer recovery specialist and a resident of Frostburg. I'm here regarding Resolution 2026-11 and the fiscal year 2027 operating budget. I see the numbers on the table tonight, and I see the $418,000 for public safety pensions and the $1.5 million unitemized capital outlay in the administrative budget. While these may look like necessary benefits for LGS, they represent a choice. By adopting Resolution 2026-11, you're taking in National Opioid Settlement Funds. I'm asking the mayor and the council for a PATS audit. We need to know these funds are being used for direct services and remediations, keeping heartbeats going in Frostburg rather than being shuffled into the general fund to cover infrastructure gaps like courthouse windows or sewer offsets. 6th District is watching the receipts. We don't want a summary. We want the standard.
Okay.
Thank you.
The numbers you quoted are from where?
It's all in the settlement that has been
The settlement that,
correct.
Okay.
so, and the audit you're asking for, the PADS audit, is the,
Just a complete breakdown of
Yeah.
how we are dispersing these funds.
So my understanding is that we haven't spent many,
yeah, we have not dispersed
Haven't
it.
used any of these.
because we've been waiting for the last, what was the last major one that came through, Purdue? We were waiting for the Purdue settlement to come through, so we knew that's the last major one that we're expecting the majority of the funds. We didn't want to allocate them until we knew exactly what we were dealing with. We're still going to get, we anticipate for a long time to get a little bit of money to continue to trickle in, but once the Purdue one was settled and we know more or less what kind of money we're dealing with, we haven't spent any of it yet because we were waiting to see what that final number would be.
You're right. Let me reframe that.
Okay.
How are we planning on spending that money?
We-
That's trickling in.
We have only had very, very high level discussions about it. We have not started to have any concrete discussions about what we're doing with it yet.
And my understanding is that there are strictures as to how that money can be spent. It
Yeah.
can't be spent on general things like courthouse windows.
Correct.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything further before we vote on Resolution 26-11?
Just one more thing. I invite you to, keep your eye on it because it is important that these funds get directed towards helping people out of addiction. So yeah, thank you.
I agree.
And if you would like, Mr. Major, it won't be in the next day or two, but as soon as we can get a statement for you of how much money is sitting in that account right now. If you'd like to follow up with Amy after the meeting, she can get your information
I'd love that.
and we'll tell you how much money we have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Resolution 26-11 is up for final vote. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 26-11 is approved. Resolution 2026-12.
Okay, so this would be the approval of an amendment to an existing resolution. This would have been the resolution that we passed last month for a change order for about $43 for CSO Phase 10A. Since that period has gone by, we have gotten with the engineering firm again, dug into it more, and found that it's about $406.19. So this would be approving an amendment to reflect the $406.19 to the resolution from last month. Again, we don't love making mistakes, but a $406 mistake on a $1.78 million project. Again, we don't love mistakes, but I think that's 0.02
Pretty
of
close.
a percent.
Pretty close.
But we
So
like
we're
to be
still-
accurate.
Yeah, we're still pretty happy. But again, if there's any questions about it, I'm happy to elaborate. If not, I'll read it off.
Is this instead of the 43 or is
Correct,
this like, okay,
correct.
It was instead not on top.
okay.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-12.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2026-12, the change order for the CSO project. Any further discussion among council on that? Any discussion among members of the public before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 26-12 is approved. Thank you, sir. Next is Resolution 26-13.
So 26-13 is a resolution to go into a lease agreement with the Foundation for Frostburg for utilization of the pantry building. So the pantry has kind of moved under the foundation, so they would be the entity that we're actually doing a lease with. That's for 126 South Water for when it opens. We have just about everything worked out. We're hoping to have everything completed for today. There's some things I'd like to make sure that we verify before we actually approve this. So I'd actually suggest that we table this till next time. But the agreement is in the packet as well if you have any questions about it.
We discussed it pretty thoroughly at a work session.
Right.
Trying to remember what came up. That a lot of it is has to do with the insurance. We verified that Frostburg, the Foundation for Frostburg, is covering the insurance. There are currently no employees; they're volunteers, so we wouldn't have to deal with that section. But who knows? In the future, there might be. So that's all covered.
And that's what Michael's still looking. Our attorney still has the contract, right?
He's given it back in the draft form once we make sure it gets some final details from the.
What is that?
From the foundation, we will double check everything with him.
Okay.
But the overall summary of it is that the pantry will be paying about $100 in rent. They'll be responsible for all the maintenance and stuff kind of inside the day-to-day cleaning, things of that sort. The city will be responsible for the grounds, mowing, shoveling, trash removal, things like that. They'll pay for utilities and such.
So we're looking for a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table Resolution 2026-13.
Second.
Moved and seconded to table Resolution 2026-13 to the next meeting in May. Any further discussion among that on council?
Did we amend that one place where it had to do with what the tenant is responsible for, 6.1 subsection A, but the exterior grounds of the leased premises, and we wanted to add, except as, let's see.
Except as provided in 6.2.
Yeah, except as provided in 6.2.
Yeah, so that was, I think, just in B, now it's in A and B, under 6.1.
Okay, it's at the beginning, I was looking for it at the end. Okay.
The question was the exterior
Yeah.
grounds.
Yes.
Since we were doing the mowing,
Right.
I thought it was confusing, so that was added.
Thank you.
So the question is on the motion to table. Any comment or discussion among the public before we do this? Yes, ma'am.
Is there still a plan to put a dog waste station near the
Yes.
food pantry?
It is sitting in my office still, so as soon as they know where all the parking spaces and stuff are going, it'll be headed down there.
Awesome, and then to that end, on the parking spaces, is there a plan to do additional like crosswalks or anything in that area?
Yes, once the parking spots go in, then we'll figure out where we need to put our stop signs. Once the stop signs are in, then crosswalks go.
Cool, trust you, thanks.
Thank you. Anything else before we vote on that? The motion is to table Resolution 26-13. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Tabled to the next meeting. Resolution 26-14.
26-14, this is more of just something that needs to be done for our upcoming bond ordinance. They need to know when everybody was either hired for a position or elected, so we had to send a lot of information up front. Because, I just realized that the one I put is incorrect, so the one in here maybe as well. So I will, there's a section of this that isn't wrong. I will have to have you amend this one, but I will pull up the copy in a second if you guys want to move to 2015. So what this resolution is to verify that Amy is the director of finance.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Okay.
It says that we hired her when we did, and that she continues to do that now.
What do we need to amend then?
Some language, let me just look at this, because if I read it correctly, there's a section that isn't supposed to be in it.
Is it the one having to do with Sun Central?
Yeah, so I forgot to delete something when I was going one-to-one. So if it's just that paragraph, it's just that paragraph that needs to be pulled out. So it would be approving 2014 with the removal of the now therefore be it resolved section.
This is at the behest of whom or what? This resolution?
I'm sorry, what?
Who wanted us to do this?
So our legal counsel for the bond
Oh, for the
ordinance.
bond, okay.
So there's a lot of documents that we have to set forth in order for the bond to go through, who can sign what, who's responsible for things. We have had to send them all the election results from all the times that you all were elected, and as well as the most recent one, when people were appointed. This is very similar to the one we did for myself. Because this isn't an appointed position, there wasn't anything that was on record, so this is standard language that they gave us to include that would basically be good enough for what they need. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we could approve this with the amendment, would you just delete the section I forgot to delete out, which would be the now therefore be resolved section.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-14 amended.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 26-14 with the amended language. And just so that it's on the record, the amended language is going to delete the paragraph that starts with now therefore be it resolved, deleting that paragraph in its entirety. And they're also changing the beginning of the next paragraph to say now therefore be it resolved.
That is correct.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So deleting that entire paragraph, changing the heading of the next paragraph so that it's grammatically correct. Okay. Any comment or discussion among council on that? Any discussion or comment among the public on that? Everyone understands what we're doing here. Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 26-14 is approved as amended. Resolution 26-15.
Resolution 2026-15, this is asking for approval, the change order number 1 to the contract with Wallace Montgomery and Associates for the common land. The city requested additional work from Wallace and Montgomery and Associates, including a supplemental survey questionnaire, vision and guiding principles, which was outside the scope of the original contract. The actual work order amount is $27,940. This is not to exceed that. If they do not use that amount of money, they'll only bill for what they do.
I see.
To finish up the comp plan.
The additional work, I know that they did a second survey, but there's more than that.
The services provided outside of the scope, and the actual work order we received was supplemental engagement effort, Frostburg State University's survey supplement.
It was the same survey, they just sent it out a second time.
To my understanding,
I think
and
that's
some of
what
this
it
was done a little before I got here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that was my understanding.
then there's Frostburg State Student Questionnaire, and then Vision and Guiding Principles chapter is listed under the additional work outside of the scope of the original contract. I'll answer any questions you have the best I can.
Okay.
But then again, about 6 months on that. Once, if this gets approved, it'll be 6 months to be about completed
Got it.
with reviews and everything.
Got it. So by Thanksgiving, it'll be signed and be done.
And the first two, the engagement effort,
Yeah.
there wasn't a whole lot of time spent on those, so that didn't cost a lot. They're just not sure how long the additional chapter will take, which is why the price tag's a little high. We're hoping that in the end it'll come in a bit lower than that.
And also, I know we discussed it, but to throw it out there, we have a new team. The original project manager quit in the midst of this, so it could be a little high. So he's kind of covering his bases
Okay.
to the end of the project. Can't speak for him, but we lost the head of the team in the middle of it.
You can go to page 4, there's a graph.
Page 4.
Yeah, this one.
One line.
Ah, okay, all right. There you
Oh, yeah, I have that in my packet.
It should, yeah, I think it should be in your packet.
It is.
Yeah, it's got the breakdown.
It is.
go. So, and again, these are the high-end estimates of what they think some of the time will take, and the different people and their rates that are associated with this.
Okay.
Any other
I would
questions?
entertain a motion from council if there's one.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-15.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 26-15, which authorizes a change order for the comprehensive plan. Any further comment or discussion among council on this?
We really don't have much of a choice, do we?
I think a lot of this work's already been done,
Yeah.
or at least ordered. And maybe it's not completed, it's at least been ordered.
Yeah, it's in order. The questionnaire has been done, because we did.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
The chapter, they haven't necessarily got yet, they may have done some preliminary work, but we do need it to happen.
The grade areas are $17,000, $18,000 you've already been completed.
Right.
There's $10,000 of miscellaneous stuff.
Got it. Okay. Anything further among council?
Mhm. Nope.
Comment or discussion among the public before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 26-15 is approved. All right, that's the end of that. Now we're going to move on to, in further new business, we have 3 ordinances to introduce. All 3 of them are on first reading, so they won't be final passage tonight. First is ordinance 26-03.
So, ordinance 2026-03 is the ordinance that will give us, or initiate bonds for CSO phases XD and XC. So this is a very complicated budget package for each of these. We'll be getting funding from both loan that has a forgiveness of about 50% if done correct, as well as supplemental grant assistance. So 10B is going to cost an estimated total of $3.79 million, with just about $2 million in the loan and loan forgiveness. And 10C is going to cost $2.12 million, and just a little over $1.5 million. We have been working with council on this. We have hired council to deal with this because this is a complicated process. But this ordinance is what will be utilized to initiate those bonds.
We're also mandated to work with bond counsel to do the loan and loan forgiveness.
Yeah, it's an extensive process. And I will say that Hayden and especially Emily and Lydia have done a great job in working and getting this prepared. So. This whole first page is the title of this ordinance.
It's the biggest block of type that.
So ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance, let me drag it a little bit. There you go, so you guys can read along with me. An ordinance of the city of Frostburg, a body politic and corporate and a municipal corporation of the state of Maryland, the city, approving the form and authorizing the execution, issuance, sale, and delivery by the city of one or more general obligation installment bonds in an aggregate principal amount not exceeding $6 million. Pursuant to the authority of section 19-301 to 19-309, inclusive of the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, as amended section 718 of the charter of the city of Frostburg and the Maryland Water Infrastructure Financing Administration Act, codified as sections 9-1601 to 9-1622, inclusive of the environment article of the annotated code of Maryland, as amended. Each such bond to be designated the City of Frostburg Water Quality Bond, and by series or by such other designation as provided in this ordinance, the net proceeds of the sale thereof to be used and applied for the public purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of acquiring constructing and equipping certain facilities, each of which constitutes a wastewater facility, as more particularly described herein, including the development of property, the acquisition and installation of equipment and furnishings, and any related architectural, financial, legal, planning, and engineering expenses. to authorize the execution of 4 loan agreements between the city and the Maryland Water Infrastructure Financing Administration to prescribe the form and tenor of the bonds and the terms and conditions for the issuance and sale thereof at private sale to the Maryland Water Infrastructure Financing Administration, to provide for the prompt payment of the maturing principal of and interest on the bonds, to pledge the full faith and credit of the city to the payment of the principal of and interest on the bonds, to covenant to levy and collect all taxes necessary to provide for the payment of the principal of and interest on such bonds, and to provide generally for the issuance, sale, and delivery of such bonds. Thank you. I won't read the entire ordinance, but we do have it on record, and it's in the packet. You'll note that there are a couple of blank sections in the packet. Those are things that will be included once they are available. So to give you a brief timeline on how this will work is, at the end of March, we submitted a lot of documentation I was referring to, as well as other things to MDE. Tonight, we announced this and set a public hearing. Actually, tomorrow, the Maryland Board of Public Works will vote on it. And starting after that, we can issue contractor notices to proceed on the projects.
Okay.
Each of the contractors has to spend a certain amount of money of these funds before everything's issued, and we'll start that process. But everything will basically should be kind of in place June 8th, I believe. Is the date. So we're finally getting there. This is how long have you been working on this?
6 years.
Okay. This is the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've done bonds like this before, but not quite to this size, to this scale. Okay.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-03 on the first reading.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2026-03 on the first reading, and we will set the public hearing date for Tuesday, May 19th at the council meeting for that. Is there any further discussion among council on this? We've been talking about this for longer than I've been around. Holy cow.
No, we've locked out over the years, so we haven't had to do this yet.
Yeah.
All right. Any comment or discussion among the public? Again, this is just the first reading. It will be read again in the May meeting.
It should be said too, both of these projects come with grant money as well.
Yeah.
For 10B, it's $1.7 million in grant, and for 10C, it's $544,000 in grant too. So it's not just loan forgiveness. There's also fairly substantial grants for both.
Yeah, I mean, that's 25, almost 30%.
Yeah.
It's about 2.5 million.
Okay.
2.2 million.
Kelly has it.
Oh, yes.
Just to that point, the grant money, do we have an idea of where we want to spend that?
That's on these CSO
On
projects.
these.
Yeah, that's in addition to the bond money. That's grant money that has been received for this.
So it's an entire package to pay for these 2 projects.
Anything further before we vote? Okay, question is on approval. First reading, ordinance 26-03. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 26-03 is approved on first reading, and May 19th will be the public hearing date for that. Next is resolution 26-04.
Oh, it's going to take me a bit scroll. Just not all in bold face.
I'm going to go ahead and start.
Yeah, please.
Ordinance number 2026-04. An ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Frostburg, Maryland, entitled an ordinance to repeal and reenact sections 4.01 and 4.02 of Appendix D of the city code, the rental housing code, pertaining to rental housing standards and fire safety. Whereas the city's rental housing ordinance is included in the city code as Appendix D. Whereas Section 4.02 of the rental housing ordinance sets forth fire safety standards applicable to rental housing, including a requirement that all smoke detectors be interconnected. Whereas the mayor and city council have determined that verifying proper fire and smoke separation assemblies in rental properties with adjoining rental units is impractical. Whereas the rental housing ordinance needs to be updated to reflect state law requirements pertaining to carbon monoxide alarms, see Subtitle 11 of Title 12 of the Public Safety article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. Whereas the mayor and city council are enacting this ordinance to modify the interconnection requirements and update provisions pertaining to carbon monoxide alarms and Appendix D of the city code. Now therefore, Section 1, be it ordained by the mayor and city council of Frostburg, Maryland, that sections 4.01 and 4.02 of Appendix D of the city code are repealed and reenacted to read as is set forth in Exhibit A attached here to. Section 2, be it further ordained that any person found guilty of violating Section 4.02D of the rental housing ordinance, tampering with life safety devices, shall be subject to a fine of $1,000. The schedule of fines for municipal infractions, presently Section 2-12 of the city code, shall be amended accordingly. Section 3, be it ordained by the mayor and city council of Frostburg, Maryland, that this ordinance shall take effect 20 days from the date of its passage.
Very good. Then if you could just take us to the highlight of what's different in Exhibit A.
All right, 4.02A, smoke alarms. All smoke alarms must meet American National Standards Institute, ANSI Underwriters Laboratories, UL, Standards 217 and 2034, or ANSI UL 268 and 2075. I want to point that out. Going down through, number 2 wasn't changed. 3, 4, 5, which one was it? 6, 7. 7. All smoke alarms within a rental unit must be interconnected so that all detectors within the unit sound if any of them are activated. This can be achieved through hardwired interconnection, 120 volt, or the use of wireless radio frequency interconnection. Physical interconnection of alarms shall not be required where approved wireless alarms are installed, and all alarms sound upon activation of one alarm. The use of Wi-Fi-based interconnection is prohibited. Number 8, adjoining rental units in a property shall be required to interconnect smoke alarms between units so that all alarms within the property sound if any of them are activated, unless units are furnished with approved fire and smoke separation. To be considered furnished with approved fire and smoke separation, evidence of approved materials and installation must be provided to the inspector, and the separation may not show any evidence of penetrations or unprotected openings. We will move to B, carbon monoxide alarms. Again, this is state law. I'll just read it.
Okay.
Carbon monoxide alarms. 1, definition: carbon monoxide alarms means a device that senses carbon monoxide. When sensing carbon monoxide is capable of emitting a distinct and audible sound, is listed and carries the listing of the National Recognized Testing Laboratory approved by the Office of State Fire Marshal, and is wired into an alternating current, AC, power line with secondary battery backup. Is battery powered, sealed, tamper resistant, and uses a long life battery that has a life of not less than 10 years, or is connected to an on-site control unit that monitors the carbon monoxide alarm remotely so that the responsible party is alerted when the device activates. The alarm signal and receives its primary power from a battery or the control unit. Combination with smoke alarms. A carbon monoxide alarm may be combined with a smoke alarm if the combined device complies with Title IX and Subtitle 11 of Title 12 of the Public Safety Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and American National Standards Institute, ANSI, Underwriters Laboratory, UL, Standards 217 and 2034, or ANSI, UL 268 and 2075. That's the highlights out of it.
Got it. So the carbon monoxide thing, that's the state, we have to do that, whether we want to or not.
I just want to put that out.
So just very briefly, because we've talked about this a lot for I don't know how long. Back to the smoke alarm thing. So the original ordinance that was proposed, the fire department had some pretty serious concerns about that. We had the chief here. We undertook his concerns, and this meets what they had asked for, right?
Correct.
Okay.
One of the big things compared to our current code it clarifies is our current code uses the phrase hardwired, but hardwired can be considered for power as well as connecting interconnected smoke detectors. So a lot of what this also does is clarify AC powered versus battery operated, and then RF versus basically wired interconnectivity as well.
Two things he brought up was the non-mentioning of the UL, that's in there now.
Right.
And also the interconnection. So what we did with the interconnection was put in there to allow the wireless radio frequency interconnection, which is a significantly cheaper version rather than hardwiring.
The other concern we had originally, and part of the reason that things were changed, was the being able to verify a true firewall between units. And so the way that we're describing it to make sure that we can do it on a consistent level is if it was built with a firewall or there is proof that the firewall was installed, there's documentation for that. That would be considered a firewall unless there is evidence that it has been
Breached in some way.
so if somebody put a hole through the wall or something like that, or through the firewall, but that makes it so we may not be able to completely inspect every firewall all the time to make sure every inch is perfect, but if it was installed correctly and there's nothing visible.
It takes, at least, if nothing else, it takes the liability off of us.
Yeah, a little bit, yes, yeah. And it makes sure that at least we knew that something was put there to begin with.
All right. I would entertain a motion if there is one.
Make a motion, we adopt ordinance 2026-04 on its first reading.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 2026-04 on the first reading and to set May 19th for the public comment date. Anything further among council on that? Comment or discussion among members of the public? Yes,
Can I come up with
please.
just a couple things I wanted to say? Do you want me to introduce myself? Like,
If you want, sure. Yeah.
58 Linden for the record, Kelly Mears. Thank you for bringing this one back. Thank you for taking the time to really look into this one. When this one was brought up in January, I had some serious concerns immediately on the work session commentary. The nature of the proposed changes seemed just difficult to understand, and the three proposed options that were presented were quite difficult to see what the benefits of each of the changes were. I could see that there was a strong desire in the council to reevaluate the policy from a question of how we could enforce it and how we could make sure that there was a standard of safety, but there wasn't much discussion about that standard of safety, simply a question about language and policy. I come from an IT background, and so I have not that much experience in smoke detectors, but plenty of experience in risk management and policy changes. And so what I saw in that first presentation was concerning to me, just because it felt like it was creating policy that was even harder to understand than maybe was already there, which was hard to enforce. So I understand the desire to clean up so that it's easier to enforce, but I also appreciate the effort for, whether you're a property owner, a resident, or a first responder, to be able to understand what those expectations are. On first reading, this ordinance definitely did not do that, and upon taking it back, going back to constituents and those subject matter experts, I think you've really hit a much closer mark to an effective policy that can both, like you said, keep liability very clear and understand enforceability, but also clearly articulates what a property resident and property owner needs to do to keep themselves compliant. So just wanted to say thank you for slowing down and really understanding the intent of the changes there. I know it's not an easy thing to do, but in this case, I think you definitely hit the right mark in terms of hitting a policy that can be enforced, but also understood by laymen who might not understand the intricacies. International standards are high, but Frostburg also has a history of old buildings that are likely to catch fire, and we want to keep our constituents safe. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a small clarification, because we did table ordinance, I believe it was ordinance 2, which was the smoke detection one. This is very much based off of adjusting that, but because it was so different, this has a new number. So this is ordinance 04. The table 1 will drift off into history. Good.
Will forever be on some table somewhere.
Yes.
Anything further before we take the vote on this? Questions on ordinance 26-04 for first reading? Many are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2604 is adopted on first reading. May 19th will be the public hearing date for that. Next is ordinance 26-05, which is the budget.
Well, this is kind of
Rates.
short too, at least on the first page. Ordinance 2026-05, formal adoption of the fiscal 2026-2027 corporate water, sewer, garbage, and water surcharge fund operating budgets for the city of Frostburg. An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Frostburg, Maryland, entitled Formal Adoption of the Fiscal Year 2026-2027 Corporate Water, Sewer, Garbage, and Water Surcharge Fund Operating Budgets for the city of Frostburg. Whereas Section 702 and 703 amended of the Frostburg City Charter provides for the adoption of a fiscal year budget beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. And whereas said charter mandates that the budget shall be adopted by the governing body in the form of an ordinance. Now, therefore, in consideration of the foregoing, the mayor and city council of Frostburg, Maryland ordain and establish this ordinance as follows. Be it further resolved that the following be set forth. There are attachments for the operating budgets, taxes, water rates, sewage rates, garbage rates, and miscellaneous fees.
Got it.
I assume you just want me to hit the highlights?
Yeah.
The mayor has to read everything. Yeah.
Read everything? Well,
01-000-4317.
Compared to what we discussed at work session last week, not a whole lot has changed. The main change is the salaries are in here now at a 3% pay increase instead of the 5% per mayor's request. And I didn't bring that with me. I think that reduced by about $60,000.
Okay.
Just in salaries, I think the overall
Yeah.
change in the budget was about 120.
Yeah.
With benefits
Taxes,
and insurance and
benefits
stuff.
whatnot. As we discussed at work session, we are proposing new water rates. It's about a 19% increase, so we're going to go to $7.39 per 1,000 gallons for in-city customers for the first 50,000 gallons, and beyond 50,000 it will be $14.14 per 1,000 gallons. For our customers that are outside city limits, the rate increases to $11.09 per 1,000 gallons for the first 50,000 gallons, and $21.21 per 1,000 gallons for anything in excess of the 50,000. City determines rates based on several factors, including the cost allocations, water supply, and the weighted ratio of transmission lines to distribution lines. We did the calculations from a break-even perspective and would require a 27% increase in the rates. And as you know, we discussed doing just a 19% increase. It's really necessary for us to do that considering the increased costs that the whole economy is experiencing. But our biggest increase is going to be the contract with the Maryland Environmental Service that maintains water treatment plant. They're anticipating about a $60,000 increase for the year, mainly because of the cost of chemicals. So that's been reflected in the budget as well, but we want to be able to maintain the infrastructure and still provide quality water without going the hole.
Sure.
Other things, we do intend to maintain the current tax rates for all our tax structures as well as the sewer and garbage fees. There are small increases in rental registration and the permit fees. Fuel costs we've increased, as we discussed last week, by about 20%. Doesn't seem like fuel prices are going down anytime soon, so we want to be prepared for that. And then finally, the fleet lease we have through Enterprise for a lot of the city's vehicles. We did tone that down so that the police department now, instead of getting 4 new leases for the current leases that expire, we're going to extend them for 1 year and just get 1 new Durango for the police department.
We talked about going to 8 years instead of 5 on that. Is that?
Yeah, and I think Hayden can expound on this a little more. We have 1 year left to pay till we fully own
Correct.
this.
The four fleet lease Durangos within the police department that are expiring, and so this is the end of their 5-year lease period. If we extend each of those by 1 year, within those 12 months of that 1 year, we'll have those 4 leases paid off. So within, I think it's 10 and a half, 11 months into this 1 year extension, we'll have the bank payment, the lease payment paid off, and it will just be the maintenance after that. And then, of course, we can reassess next year whether we want to keep extending those by 1 year or gradually trade those in one at a time on the leases.
The original concept was for doing like a 5-year lease on things and then having them kind of trade them in and renew the lease. For pickup trucks and some of the work trucks, that works great. They have great resale value. For the police vehicles, the resale value is a little tricky because they are upfitted to be police vehicles, but also that upfit cost can be significant. And it's ranged anywhere from, I think, $15,000 to almost $40,000, depending on the vehicle. So that's added into the lease. We were able to do some of that with ARPA money in the past to keep the lease costs down. But moving forward, that won't be the case. So having them go a little bit longer, than maybe staggering them a little bit better so that they're not in chunks should make it so that this process works a little bit better.
The only other thing to really note, which again we have discussed, is we've increased the meters budget to allow for replacement of old and non-working meters. We have a lot of customers that have estimated readings for several months, and we are working on getting those meters replaced. We've had a really good response to the letters that we sent out.
Are they old Radio Red ones, or are they older than Radio Red?
They're the first generation of Radio Red meters. So all the meters in town are Radio Red now.
Okay.
The ones that are going bad that we need to replace are the very first generation of Radio Reds, which are between 17 and 20 years old.
Okay.
Happy to try to answer any other questions.
This isn't something that came up in the work session specifically, but it is something we've talked about in the past. Are we still on track to have the major part of the debt service at Piney paid off at the end of 27 or
Yes.
fiscal 27?
Yes.
So at that point, we'll be able to look at restructuring what the water rates look like.
Yes.
We're taking a pretty big bite at the apple this year, but hopefully we can not have to do that in the future. Okay,
But you have to keep in mind too that water rates have been the same since 2021.
sure.
So, you know, in light of current economic situation since 2021,
Sure.
I think it makes sense to go ahead and get a little bump.
Sure.
We're actually supposed to change our water rates every 3 years. There's an equation that we utilize that works with the city. We put that on hold because of the coating was on our water. There were some uncertainties. So we're moving forward now, and like I said, once that debt is off, we'll be able to restructure.
Are we renegotiating the county rate with the county?
Yes, and that was
This-
also increased, I think, 10 or 12%.
And a lot of that is based on the cost of repairs inside the city versus out and those types of things.
Correct.
Okay. I would entertain a motion on this also.
Do you want to talk about salaries?
There is one more thing we included in here because hotel motel tax
Oh, yeah.
was set for $125,000. This is this was the final version that we had discussed after work session or during work session. There are 3, I think, groups that are missing from this list that have requested funds. One is the summer lunchbox program. The reason for that is while this funding isn't appropriate for them, we had committed to finding that money for them elsewhere. The Boy Scouts.
Still waiting to hear back.
No, so then it wasn't the Boy Scouts, it was the baseball team. Finding one of the two. The baseball team wanted to do some renovations on one of the fields. Our Parks and Rec department is going to pay for that upgrade so that the funds can come from there instead of here to bring some money down. And the last one was the roller derby group. Their event was outside of city limits, was down in the Cumberland area, and so we felt it wasn't appropriate to fund something that's supposed to focus on economic development outside the city. Other than that, I believe everybody got at least a portion of what they requested.
Okay. I would entertain a motion on the budget for first reading.
I'll make a motion. Ordinance 2026-05.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 2026-05 on first reading and again to set May 19th as the public hearing date for that. Any further comment or discussion among council?
I'd just like to say thanks to Candy and the rest of the employees for working hard on that.
That is a Herculean task. Thank you for,
But it was a team effort, so thank you to everybody who
sure.
helped out.
Anything further? Comment or discussion from the public before we move on to this? Yes,
I'll just ask my question.
That's fine.
Here, because it's straightforward.
that's fine.
What did you learn in the additional meetings that you had with the 3 groups that were above, I think it was $10,000 that you decided to meet with? Just kind of softball questions. I'm not trying to ask something right here.
No, sure.
What was the benefit of those meetings and how did they outcome?
So the meetings, Patrick was in all three of the meetings. We met with, talk about Frostburg first.
Yeah, so Frostburg first did clarify a good bit of what their efforts kind of go towards. Answered some questions that Mayor and Council had and some other people had about like the office time and when the office is open. Part of it is that they are out and about doing things a good bit, and part of it is that they have some work from home time and things like that. In the end, what we talked about is, you know, if there's a continued concern about it, would they be open to like during office hours, like on a set day and time, in case people needed them, and they were open to that. But we talked about the kind of focus of the two kind of umbrella organizations that they're under, and what their focuses are when it comes to economic development versus like this Main Street community building concept, as well as some of the national conferences they go to and things like that. So it was a good understanding of kind of what, not just their efforts, but what that operating kind of cost goes to, as well as the money that they've brought in grants and programs that they've helped.
Specific to the Scenic Railroad, we had a meeting with them also. Well, there was a meeting with people from the Scenic Railroad Board, but also at the work session last week, I think if you recall, former Mayor Flanagan, who was on the board for the Scenic Railroad, was also here and spoke about what the funding that the city gets from that. One of the main concerns, not concerns, but one of the main questions we had was the amount of additional funding that the Scenic Railroad gets from other places, including the county, including state capital grants, things like that, was essentially, I guess the question was like, what do you need our money for if you're getting all this? And they talked, Mayor Flanagan talked about events that are specific to the Frostburg area. They try and make sure that a lot of the train excursions originate from Frostburg.
And I think that a lot of the funding was earmarked for
specific things to here.
The
bus.
The bus that takes people from the depot up to
So the salary for the driver of the bus, but also the maintenance and upkeep costs on the bus, registration, things like that. So that's what the
so that's
majority
very
of that
much
goes
along
to.
the lines of what this funding is for.
And then
The other one was the museum.
right.
So we did meet with the museum, and actually tying in very, very much with the train. Museum talked about how they do normally get a good bit of people that come up from the train. The bus kind of drops them off across the street, and especially whoever's riding that bus, they have some pretty good advocates for the museum. So they normally get a pretty good flow of people in there. They've done a good bit of work to the museum. They're also, primarily volunteers as far as that goes, and they're looking at doing some HVAC work and things like that to bring it a little bit, make it a little bit more comfortable, especially during the summer.
Specifically, the first floor has air conditioning, but the second floor does not.
Yeah, so it does get a little humid. But we talked about their kind of overall budget, the money that they've been able to raise and things like that, some of the initiatives that they're doing, and just kind of overall what kind of foot traffic they get. I was very honestly surprised at the numbers as high as they were. You don't always think about people wanting to go to a museum all the time, especially small like that, but they get people in there regularly.
Oh yeah. They're only open like 3 days a week. They try and because they're all volunteers, but also they try and get the most bang for their buck. So like when the train comes in, they're open for, I don't know, 3-4 hours on a Saturday, but they'll get 80 people to come through there.
Yeah.
So.
That's a lot.
And it's John Kirby running the whole show, giving the docent speech.
You know that Andrea DePolatis does a lot of the research into, which informs then their displays and so forth.
Yeah.
So they're volunteers, but they're hardworking.
Anything further among members of the public before we vote on this? Questions on ordinance 26-05, first reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 26-05 adopted on first reading, May 19th. Public comment date for that. With council's permission, we're going to take a brief 2-minute recess.
As we recess, just so everybody know, we are still streaming live.
No cursing.
Oh, 248 pages, hour and a half, not bad. We still have some time, but not bad.
we're on the open public comment portion. Good time.
Should've told me this is already
Yeah.
the resolutions.
We'll hear from the finance department. Did Wesley leave or did he just go?
Been to the summer MML conference and now we are to the hotel rates really shot up. It seems a lot more expensive.
I don't remember how much mine was. I did it. But I'm way up there too. I'm on like 100 and something streets. Yeah. I think part of it is the weekend that it falls. It's the same weekend as the air show.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
All right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 7:05, and we are on the public comment portion of the meeting, so this is the opportunity for citizens or anyone in the public to come forward and offer your concerns. I'll call first on Commander Harper.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'm here, my name is Wes Harper. I'm Commander of Frostburg American Legion, Fairview Post 24. I'm here to talk about the parking situation on Main Street. Recently, I assumed that you started enforcing the 20-minute and 2-hour parking on Main Street, which is why I'm here. I'd like to know why is it not being enforced every day and it's only being selectively enforced? And only certain vehicles are being targeted. I've received 3 tickets. I'm parked there during business hours while they're conducting business. The majority of my membership is 70 and above. 70 and above, they can't park in those city parking lots that are free and walk to the Legion. It's adversely affecting my business. My business and in front of Gianni's, there's always 2 places on Main Street that have 20-minute parking. I don't understand why. Everybody else has 2-hour parking. Why do we only have 20 minutes? And why don't we have a handicapped parking spot?
I thought there was one up there. Isn't there one in front of the Legion?
I don't know.
There's none. It's in front of the Legion. Both spots in front of the Legion are 20-minute parking. Everywhere else besides right in front of Johnny's is 2 hours parking.
So there are a couple of places that are designated as 20-minute. There are a few others down the street on the right-hand side going down the street. There's a few others there. They are ones that were identified as by I guess the police department. They were identified as businesses where short-term parking, where they wanted more turnover, like the businesses in front of those places. For example, the one in front of the pet store by the Palace Theater. I think that's a 20-minute space because that was identified as a place where you would typically not need 2-hour parking in front of that place. We can look at the one in front of the Legion. Maybe that one needs to be redesignated.
This was based on a survey done by the Community Development Department in conjunction with Public Works. It was Emily and Jamie, and it would have been about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, so for some of my membership, particularly one lady, it takes her 20 minutes to get out of her car.
Okay.
Before she gets into the building. I mean, it's not a joke. It's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and it's adversely affecting our business because people don't want to come now because they're afraid they're going to get a ticket. So I don't understand why it's that way.
Well, I mean, even in years past, there's always been parking enforcement. Whenever there were metered spaces, they were enforce that the meters had to be paid. Whenever we decided to move away from that, there was concern by a lot of business owners on Main Street that if parking's free and there's no kind of time restrictions on anything, that people, patrons of certain businesses, but also like employees at certain businesses would take up the spaces on Main Street and there wouldn't be any available for customers. So we had to kind of we had to balance it as best as we could, that we need to continue to see turnover of parking spaces. As far as what you said earlier, it's not enforced every day just because we don't have the manpower. We enforce it as much as we can. I don't think it's necessarily true that people are targeted, that there's certain cars that are targeted, but we just don't have the manpower to enforce it every day. So we do it as much as we can.
Like I said, my vehicle's been targeted twice, but now I've sat there, you said that every day. I bought my other vehicle, which whoever's making the complaints doesn't know that that's my vehicle. It's never been targeted once, and it's sat there for 18 hours.
Okay.
I took videos of a police vehicle parked in a 20-minute spot for over 2.5 hours, and they weren't on a call, they weren't doing any business, they were in the Prince restaurant eating. I have a video on my phone right now. But yet, I parked there and I get a ticket. And I'm running that business. It's just not fair. It doesn't make any sense to me. If we're going to enforce it, it needs to be enforced. I understand you don't have the manpower to enforce it every day. But if it's going to be enforced, it needs to be enforced on the whole street, not just our block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's what it seems like it's being had. That's what's
totally
happening
agree with
right now.
Yeah.
Here's one of the, and I stopped complaining when we closed all our businesses. But in front of my real estate business, there's the same vehicle parks in front of that
Every
place.
day?
All day, every day.
Yes.
I know who you're talking
And
about.
I've talked to that person. Like, my thing is, as a business owner, why would you want to park in front of your business all day, every day? You're taking up a spot that a customer could have. But some people, you just...
Well, then in my case also, my bartenders, I have all female bartenders. And at nighttime, if they're closed up at 11 o'clock at nighttime, they're by themselves. They have to park a block or 2 blocks away to walk there by themselves. That's dangerous. That's dangerous for them. The way things are now, I can't have one of my girls walking out at midnight and have to walk 2 blocks away or way down behind St. Michael's, where she has to park for free by herself. And sometimes they have a lot of money on them. That's just asking for trouble. I just think it needs to be addressed. It needs to be done in a different way.
Okay.
So that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Next, we'll call on Jennifer Smouse.
Hello, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Smouse, 85 Victoria Lane. I'm running for Finance Commissioner. I just wanted to give a little brief history of me. I've been in Frostburg for over 2 decades, living in Frostburg, and I have just about 2 decades of financial experience, and I'm currently a financial controller for a company. I do have my bachelor's degree in finance, and I do go and attend conferences and webinars and extend my knowledge in finance. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to hit me up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, and next is Kelly Mears.
I'm actually good. I've had all my comments were addressed in the various sections.
Okay, great, thank you. That's all that was signed up. Is there anyone else in the room who wasn't signed up but feels encouraged or obliged to give public comment? All right, hearing none, the time is 7:12 and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.